Donnie and Dolly. The team is supported by ableauctions.ca. Closing your business? We can help.
Just ahead of Jamie McLennan, Noodles TSN, and a reminder that Vanni Sartini of the Whitecaps will join us in about 10-15 minutes or so as well. All guests today sponsored by Passat Motors. It is no tax November at Passat Motors. Purchase a vehicle from Passat, and they will pay the GST for you. For more information, go to BASANTmotors.com. Able Auctions, our title sponsor, as we bring in Noodles from TSN, Jamie McLennan, long time no talk to. How are you, sir?
Not too bad. How are you today?
Very well. Hey, among the teams you played for in your National Hockey League career, the Florida Panthers, they beat unbeaten Carolina on Saturday without Barkov, by the way. I think people forget that. So they're in first place overall. Are you a believer? Are they the best team in hockey? Where are you at with the team you used to play for down there in Sunrise?
Well, just a side note, please don't look up my stats or how much I contributed when I played for the Panthers. Because I want to say, I think I played like 9 games one year because Louis was just basically glued to the net. Mm-hmm. And I think I got my first win. It was like March, so near the end of the year. So it was something crazy. But getting back to your question, I'm 100% a believer. I've been a believer in that group for a while. And you take a look at, getting Reinhart, just kind of adding, I'll just say like adding some depth around the edges. They've got a core there. They've committed to the core. The core are fantastic. And let's be honest, if Huberdeau or Barkov played in a Canadian market, can you imagine the amount of noise that would be made for how great these players are? We forget in Florida sometimes, especially on the side that is not Tampa, that they don't get as much love, and they're great players. So I'm a believer in that group. I think they've added, you add the Hornquist. You take a look at a guy like Frank Vetrano. I don't want to say they got him for free, but here's a 25 goal scorer that is just coming into his own. So the D-core's gotten better. I think Spencer Knight is going to give Bobrovsky a little bit of an opportunity to refine his game. So I really like what's going on there, and I think they're for real. Obviously, the Quenneville situation that's real life stuff, but they've continued on, and Andrew Brunette will be fine there as a head coach because the team is that deep.
Speaking of former Florida goaltenders, Jacob Markstrom in Calgary has 4 shutouts already, .942 save percentage. What can you tell us about Jacob Markstrom this season versus last season?
2 things. Took a little bit to settle into a new defensive system, playing in a new environment. I don't think he had his best season, and then he got injured and tried to battle through an injury. So it just wasn't his best season period. Then you had the coaching change, and it took a little bit to settle into Daryl Sutter's system as well. Because if you take a look at Daryl's, overall body of work, it really favors the goaltender. Now, the goaltender has to make saves and at critical times, but it's not like they're giving up 20 slot shots a night and relying on their goaltender to steal games. I've seen him steal 1 game this season. I believe it was in, Pittsburgh. He was brilliant. But outside of that, Markey's been great, but the team in front of him has played really well to kind of go hand in hand. So he should be thanking Daryl Sutter. I know Daryl Sutter thanks him for his work. Daryl loves his goaltenders, and he relies on especially his number 1 guy. So Markstrom, his play reminds me of a couple years ago of what you guys witnessed in Vancouver, where arguably 2 years in a row, he was as good as anybody in the league. And that's why I believe he was the MVP of the Canucks a couple years in a row. If he wasn't, he was right there.
Jamie, I want to stay with goaltenders. Demko's been great. Another great game last night. Just talk a little bit about him and his emergence. First year as the top guy, and he's just been playing lights out.
He has, and you know what? That's the reason why they let a guy like Jacob Markstrom go, is because they believed they had a younger Jacob Markstrom. And the only process, I guess the only struggle for them is when you're looking at Demko's progression, you couldn't just hand him experience. He had to go through that process last year without Jacob Markstrom, without we'll call it a safety blanket sitting on the bench. It's sink or swim, go and play. And then, we know of the struggles last year. That wasn't on Demko. I mean, you've got injuries, you've got COVID. It was just one of those seasons that anything that could have happened certainly happened to the Canucks. So, Demko's gone through the process. He signed a contract. He's earning every penny. And I think he's a star goaltender. So, Jim Benning, if you're looking at it, he made the right decision for his organization. I questioned it, I'll be honest, in full disclosure. I questioned it because I knew exactly how good Markstrom was. I think we all believed how good Demko was, but he had to go and prove it. We saw little sample sizes, but now we're seeing the whole meal, and this guy's a rock star. He's a fantastic goaltender.
Around the league, I know it's early, and what team has surprised you the most?
Okay, so in a bad way, Montreal. It's almost like they're kind of having Vancouver's season from last year times 2. Now, I talk to Habs fans, and they say, you know what? They can go 0-82. Our cup is full from what we did last year. They did last year in the playoffs, kind of a surprise finalist appearance. But, they're certainly having some challenges. Some of the teams that are hanging in there, I thought Buffalo was going to have a real tough stretch early on. They've actually gone the other way and played very well. Detroit is the same thing. That Sider is a hell of a defenseman on the back end. Like, he's got tremendous vision and poise. You're looking at Tyler Bertuzzi, and, obviously he's missing some games because of his vaccination status, but, he's a player. I think Detroit has had that retool, and they've got a ways to go, but, those are kind of the surprise teams for me. Another negative I'll say is Colorado hasn't hit their stride.
Yes.
They're a team that, I like the move of bringing in Darcy Kemper in replace of Grubauer. I think Kemper's a really good goaltender. Hasn't found his stride there. You can see there's some frustration in their game. They're still going through some stuff, some COVID battles, all of that, as everyone is. But I've expected a lot more from Colorado. So some nice surprises, but certainly a couple on the negative end as well.
Yeah, the Avs back-to-back losses to Columbus, and the Blue Jackets have been pretty good. That was last week. Okay, Jamie, what went wrong for, and it might be just a decline in talent, but what went wrong for Jeremy Colleton in Chicago?
The atmosphere just has a smell around it right now. Let's be honest. There's just a bad stench on the organization, and rightfully earned. But if you look at Jeremy Colleton's, body of work, he comes in as a young progressive coach and an up-and-coming guy in a retool, rebuild situation where you have still some guys who are not willing to go through that retool and Kane and Taves. And, at that time, Seabrook was still trying to figure out what was going on with his body. Corey Crawford had moved on. So it was a real transition time. And I feel bad sometimes when a good coach gets caught in kind of that area. It's like no man's land for an organization where there's going to be some losses, there's going to be some hard times while these young kids kind of retool on the fly. But that being said, just not enough success and not enough structure for me. I'll be honest. I look at teams and the way they play consistently night in and night out. And I'll give you an example. I do Ottawa Senator games. I do 40 of them out of the 56 in our package. And I know for the most part how Ottawa's going to play every night. Now, they're still in a rebuild, retool situation. They hope they're coming out the other end. But that's a DJ Smith team. That the way that they work, the way they hold each other accountable, DJ's not shy to challenge his players. To me, there's a plan in place, and they're getting there. Whereas in Chicago, I just didn't see that consistency either in product or in what they were trying to build and sell. So, a little different where you move away from the coach where you're like, what is that team? And honestly, I don't know if you guys saw this on Twitter the other day, fair or not fair, but there was a point near the end of the game where Colleton had handed the players the whiteboard and was you guys go and draw up what you're thinking and let me know. It's never a good thing. And I know optics are sometimes context is taken out of it. The optics of that were very poor.
Yeah, it was like he was giving up almost, Noodles.
Yeah.
906 save percentage with the Panthers year 1 year. That's fine. We won't mention the goal.
If you're a goalie in the 80s, yeah.
Well,
yeah, exactly.
05-06 coming out of the lockout. I'll take that. I wish I played in the NHL. Jamie, thanks so much for this. Appreciate it.
No problem. Thanks for having me, guys.